Hello, everybody, and thank you for listening and watching To Us Blared Out. David,
Hi, welcome everybody.
okay, just for those who are listening and not watching, our laughs are the same as our cries. Okay, so we need to get that out there because I can't tell you. In probably the next couple episodes that are going to be aired, there is definitely some tears, and
It sounds like we're laughing.
Yeah.
And I promise you,
we are not. So do us all a favor and watch us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share away. What we're trying to do here is to get real stories out there. How do you feel like? I feel like that people have come up to me and said, wow, you really get to that nitty gritty and some serious topics,
Yeah.
which we do. Yeah. But what we want is this to be a platform for people to realize you don't have to get stuck in your pain or stuck in your circumstance. So many people have come on here and were in it and got through it, overcame it, and are now making such a difference and a change. And I just think that's what we need to listen to. We need to get real. We need to start talking about real topics. And so you realize you're not alone in your feelings.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks, Brand. Well, today our guest is Brittni Guzman. And I actually heard your name pop up from a mutual friend, Brittni Palma. And she said, you have to get Brittni on here. She's got an amazing story to tell. And not only, you're beautiful in person, but you have this beautiful heart. And I'm really excited to get to know you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I appreciate the invitation.
Yeah. So I went to one of your women's luncheons, and that is the second... Did you say second Tuesday?
First Monday.
First Monday. Okay, of the month?
Of every month. Yep.
Awesome. How do people find that? Or is it on Facebook?
Yes, we do have a Facebook page, and that's about the extent of our online presence.
There you go.
So it's usually just word of mouth.
I love that.
Yeah.
And what does that entail?
So the Women's Empowerment Luncheon that I started about a year ago, it started out with the women in entrepreneurship mindset, and that quickly shifted. But I always say you can't say no, when you're called to something, and you can't say no to God in my house. And so someone had been on the internet on like a community of women group and said, hey, are there any networking opportunities that aren't so costly? And I didn't even have a venue yet. And I just was like, yeah, I'm hosting one next week. And we had like 45 people show up to the first one.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, we outgrew our first space actually. And then it evolved into Women Empowering Ladies Luncheon, or the Well. And you go to the well to fill your cup.
I love that.
Yeah, that's
fun.
beautiful.
I can't coin that, but.
Okay, so Brittni said that, you've have this story, and I believe you said that your faith is important to you.
Yeah.
Has it always been something that's really big in your heart, or is that something kind of
like developed through the years?
Yeah, I think it's definitely been a work in progress.
Okay.
I think at one point in my life, it was all that I had.
Okay.
And so now I'm nothing without it. Okay. If that makes any sense.
Totally.
Yeah. My faith is something that I definitely try to, keep on the forefront of everything that I do.
Yeah.
But it's definitely become more of just a way of being for me, just trying to have more grace for myself and others. Right. But definitely, yeah, it's helped me survive.
Okay, I love that. I feel like that's kind of same with me. I feel everyone always asks me, why is your faith important? Or, I feel like it doesn't always define me, but it definitely has saved me.
Yeah.
Just of going and wondering why, or the peace that comes with it. And there's just a conversation that has, and I feel like it helps me become better when I'm not at my best.
Sure. Yeah. I also think it's easy to get to have it misconstrued, right? Like, because I'm still a sinner.
Yeah.
Gladly too. Not gladly. I know that there's grace and mercy, but like there's definitely, I'm a human and I enjoy drinking or I enjoy swearing, but
I think that's the hard part is, like David and I have different beliefs, and we've had a lot of people on here that have totally different beliefs. And I think it's important, and something that we've come up in conversation quite a bit is we don't need to define everybody with what their belief is as who they are as a human or their ideology or what their, opinions are. Your opinion or your belief doesn't have to change my belief or my opinion. And we don't have to sit there and like pick on each other to make ourselves feel better. Right. And I think what happens is in religion not sometimes, most of the time, is we're always trying to figure out which one's right, which one's wrong. And that doesn't need to be. No. Sometimes everyone has their own right and wrong. And if you're being a better person for it, then maybe we leave it alone.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we're human. We're all flawed. Like
exactly.
None of us are perfect. We're all going to make our mistakes. But it's all a matter of your heart.
I say pick a person and to have a conversation by their energy and what they bring to the table and what you can also give to them. It doesn't always need to be, every conversation has to be this enlightened or what can I take from them constantly. It doesn't need to be that. I feel like there needs to be balance when you're having conversations with people, and you can leave that conversation there. It doesn't have to go home with you.
Right.
Or you have to, you can agree to disagree.
Yeah. It's respect.
Right.
And it infuriates me that generations before us created this rule that religion and politics are like the drama llamas of any family conversation, because the two shouldn't even be in the same conversation.
They really shouldn't
at all.
And so it's actually kind of interesting when I'm called to ask someone to speak at my women's empowerment luncheon. I never ask them what they are going to talk about. I just ask that they stay Switzerland, because I have atheists that attend my meeting. I have honk if you love Jesus, bumper sticker Christians, and then an array of people in between. And I never want anyone to feel that we're woo woo or that we're gonna start in prayer. I mean, I want everyone to feel welcome. I did have one speaker come and do breath work, and that was really cool.
That's amazing.
But I could see some people in the room were like,
Which makes me laugh, because if you think about it, breathwork has nothing to do with anything other than breathing. And it's not even a religious thing or a spiritual thing. It's literally science. Like breathing, we get our first breath of life and our last breath of life. Like breathing is essential for every part of your being.
I don't believe in breathing, David.
I know. I'm like, oh my God. Like I've gotten that so many times too. And I'm like, get over yourself. Like hold your breath then.
Oh.
See how that works for you. Like let me know.
I like it all. I'm like, ooh, teach me something.
Yeah.
I have that. I'm a very curious cat.
Same.
I just want to hear the stories and hear, why. And I don't know. I'm down to always just listen. And
yeah, my thing is, I'm like, if it's going to help me be a better person, or help me feel better inside, I'm like, why not? Like, what's it harming?
And breathing is so amazing because it can calm you down. Yeah. We teach our children that, right? Count to 5.
Take a deep breath. Like,
take a deep breath. Feel like we need to do that.
David, hold your breath.
Hold your breath. It's like, hold
Just hold your breath.
Okay, so you said something a little bit ago that it was all you had. And can we get into that a little bit?
Sure.
Of the just kind of what made you feel that way, or a little bit into your story?
Yeah. So I've gone through a lot of self-healing. So if I am callous, or if I graze over something, like I'm emotionless about it, just know that I've probably unpacked the emotion of it. But there is a lot to me, but ultimately I think my story probably really got started when my mother committed suicide 10 years ago.
So
Sorry
sorry.
to hear
And
that.
prior to that, I had, a pretty tumultuous upbringing, and not in a way that, I've heard. I read this thing the other day that said if everybody put their problems on a card and laid them out, and you went up and picked up someone else's problems, you'd probably put that card down and pick up your own
Oh, that's a
again.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like
so I
that,
do
yeah.
feel like I was, given the burden that I was built to carry. But yeah, so when I was 23, my mother committed suicide, and at 25, I shifted gears totally. I think everybody does. I know for sure women have this cyclical change that happens,
Well, 23 is a very, that in between of being not a girl, you're growing out of that
I think
girl.
Britney Spears sang
Yeah.
about
Right.
it.
Britney Spears, right? Yet not yet a girl. What is it?
I'm not a girl, not yet a woman.
But
Yeah.
I do feel like that 23 is a very vulnerable age.
Yeah.
And then to lose your mom, who you depend on, or at least, I don't know what your guys' relationship was, but were you guys close?
Yeah, we had an all right relationship. My mother was also my mother was a seasonal person. My brother and my sister had a father that was in the military. And so it left me with my mom only for about a decade or more. And my mother struggled. Obviously, if you can succeed in suicide, you're struggling with some demons. And so that was our reality all of my life. She was, I say, seasonally religious, and then she would be a seasonal AANA every Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. I knew the Serenity Prayer before I was 7 years old. You know what I mean? Like sitting in these rooms with sex addicts and drug addicts, and I was exposed to a lot. And then she'd fall off the wagon, and she would be a drunk, a drug addict, and then she would, find her way back. But when you have a psychosis or a chemical imbalance, she was prescribed medication, and then the addict in her would tell her, hey, you can't take that anymore. And then that's when, things would kind of fall off. And
Was she diagnosed bipolar? Is that?
I think there's so much shame behind that. I don't recall her ever saying that she had a diagnosis of anything. I think it was just, she did go to college for psychology. And that actually started, she always used to say, when I grow up, I'm going to be this. And at 40, she started college. And so she was pretty proud of that. But so I was definitely the adult in our relationship. And I think at 14, I was like, screw this. So I moved in with my dad, and love my dad now. But, he didn't really know what to do. And then at 15, he was like, oh gosh, I've only got this amount of time left. I'm going to be her friend.
Yeah.
And that didn't go over very well. So, and he was learning a lot too. I was in 6 different high schools my sophomore, junior year. And people always ask if it was because I was military, and it wasn't. He was just chasing love and high school sweethearts. Bless his heart. But then we moved to Florida, and if there's anything that I know about Florida is it's a death trap, at least if you're destined to be a drug addict, and I was.
Wow.
And everyone that I knew in Florida that were in my friend circle are dead, and I'm still here. So that's part of my faith story, is I believe in purpose, and I believe that the devil has tried to take me out relentlessly.
Oh, for sure.
And there's just something, that I keep showing up.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
I feel like that. I feel like you've got this light about you for sure.
Thank you.
And I think when you have a light and you've been through some major trauma and you overcame it, the devil don't like that.
No, especially when when you can come out of it and not, just take all the glory.
Yep.
Right. Because I know that I'm not I know that I couldn't have done it without. I often now, as a grown woman, I thank my grandmothers for singing hymns while washing dishes and like taking us to church and, just breathing life into whatever small glimpse. And even those, 5-month stints of my mother taking me to church and, there's some weird stuff that happened too. I remember being in a basement of one church learning tongues at like 5 or 6.
Oh my gosh.
So I know the other side of people not like.
I do too. I've been at the churches where I've brought guests in, and be like, oh, you got to go to this church. It's amazing.
Don't let it be the one.
And yes. And then it's all of a sudden they're like, la 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 la.
Put your shoes back on.
And I was like, I don't know what's going on here. And their eyes are like white as saucers, and they are looking at me like where
what did you do?
Did you bring me? And I'm going, I thought we were just going to listen to worship music.
No.
So I've been at that where it's very, I don't know the denomination or nominate. What does it say? So this is how I believe in Jesus, and that's how it.
Yeah, it could be a denomination.
That's it. And so but you see all the kind of the extremes.
Yeah.
And they can go so from one way to the other.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, in a basement learning tongues. At how old did you say?
I was like 5, 6, 7 years old.
What did you think at that time? Could you?
I'm still the person that opens one eye when they're like, everybody close your eyes. Somebody raise a hand if you're this. I'm like, who's doing it? So that was me, in that room. I was like, oh, I got this, and I had an adult conversation a couple of months ago. What did he say? Should have bought a Honda, not a Kawasaki or something, but it was just funny, like, should have bought a Honda. And I was like, oh, we were talking about how he's a recovering Catholic.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We love Catholics, and he laughs at that too. But I brought my, when I was married, I brought my mother-in-law, who was a strong Catholic, to, at that time, I think it was called Victory.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's
That's
Zion. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, she was trembling. Like, she wanted out of there so badly.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dr. Deb Waterbury goes to Zion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been there once. Interesting.
I like it a lot. I think it's good. I got in after COVID. I watched all my church. And then that was,
I did watch one with you at your house, huh?
Yeah. So now I feel like I really just miss the singing. Like, I love a good worship songs. I mean, that to me, I could just hit my knees and cry every time I hear good worship. Mm-hmm. You love worship music too.
I do. That's probably the only thing I like is the music. It's beautiful. I mean, it is. It's beautiful. And the idea of, what they're preaching is also, it's a beautiful message. So I think it can be very healing if you just allow the message in. And that's what I love. But I also love, like, a lot of the singers that sing them, like, their voices are just as beautiful as the message. And it brings tears to my eyes. And I'm like, oh my God, this is wonderful.
So a Catholic going to a church like Victory probably was not.
Well, if you've only been to Mass, like up, down, Our Father, up, down. Yeah.
I'm Italian. So
and seriously, the first
Catholicism runs deep.
We walked in the doors, and there was this woman barefoot dancing down the aisles, and everyone was really having a good old time. It was
Were they like doing the flag dance?
No, this was just a person.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Living her best life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was probably a lot for a Catholic woman.
It can be a lot for anybody.
True.
True. It depends. I come from, I'm from northern Wisconsin originally, and I think our church had 20 members.
Wow.
My grandma played the organ.
Aww.
And, in Wisconsin, you have to change your clocks. And the Irish family always forgot, so they'd show up an hour late for church, that one time a year, right? But yeah, and then to come here and to be, the bands are better than concerts sometimes. The drummers are behind the shield, and
it's amazing.
Wild.
I love to go. I'm like, what's the band like? I know, I'm so bad. I'm like, not the message. What's the music like?
Yeah.
That's probably story of me. We're Or am I going to end up in a cult? Just because the music's really good.
Why are y'all dressed up like that?
David thought he was going to cult this weekend because he went to the wine crushing event and everyone was wearing white. And he did not know why they were all wearing white.
No, I was so confused. I remember just looking around and I'm just like, April, what the hell did you bring me to? Like, what is going on here? And then I remember telling Lauren, I'm like, whatever you do, girl, do not drink the juice. It's like, if they give it to you, just pour it out. Thank you. Dump. It's like, trust me.
They were there just to crush the wine.
Yeah, I guess it was a thing. Like, you wear the white so you can splatter yourself. And like, I was like, that sounds fun. I want to be a part of this cult. I'm still not drinking the juice, but.
He goes, do you drink the wine after they smash it with their feet? And I was like, there's no way.
I was like, God, I hope not. I saw people with like black feet from walking around barefoot. I'm like, ugh. I like my wine without foot fungus. Thank you.
Yeah, they dump it.
But they dump it. It's just all for fun.
It's just for fun.
It's literally just to give you the experience and like to make a mess. And
here I was thinking maybe there are more steps to the process.
No, I think they just
maybe there is. I don't know. I just knew I was not about to taste that.
I don't think they use feet anymore. I think now it's all machines.
We've come so far.
We've come so far. Because I know from my Italian heritage, they were smashing that with their feet and drinking it for sure.
I mean, it looked fun. Next year, I'm definitely gonna join in.
It will be for your birthday afterwards because you're sober for a year, right?
Yeah, it'll be just in time.
Good for you. I did my 30 days, and then I went to the diaper bank event last night. And the bartender tried to kill me. She gave me jalapeno, some fuego. I should have known by then. And I used to be able to eat spicy things and drink spicy things. I just can't hang anymore. Turned 40 and it was like downhill. So
sounds like heartburn.
It really felt like heartburn too. It got to me. I was like, this morning, I'm like, oh, that's fun. That's fun. Where's my coffee? And then I'll go back on like a 30-day cleanse again because you do feel so much better when you're not drinking.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Speaking of this luncheon, do you guys drink there?
You can do whatever you want. Yeah. Someone asked me this last time.
I think it was me.
Was it you?
Yeah. It was me. I go, hey, can I have a glass of wine or no?
Did you indulge?
No, I didn't. No one else had anything, so I felt.
Oh, you read the room.
I read the room. I'm good at reading the room. I'm like, I'll have a Diet Coke.
Be the only one. I'm like,
it was. This is
non-alcoholic.
Yeah,
I just asked him to put it in this glass.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure. The restaurant was delicious.
Yeah, they do a good job. It's owned by Kathy, and so I love supporting her.
Yeah.
Female-owned and operated. And Patricia does her best to serve us one person. She really does such a good job.
Yeah.
What place is this?
High Five Grill on Thornydale.
So good.
I don't think I've
they
ever
have
been
a
there.
hamburger with peanut butter on it.
Interesting.
So interesting.
I'll totally try that.
I know. I figured I'd wait for you because we always will try anything.
Oh, yeah. She's my favorite
I
food
love
person to
food.
go. Like, we literally are like, what do we want? How about let's just get like all of it and then share? And we literally will order the whole menu and then just dip into all of it. And I'm like, oh my God, finally I met my food soulmate.
So one time we were in Scottsdale and we were celebrating, I think passing our test or something, or no, it was maybe our birthday.
I think, no.
It was
I
celebrating
think we just
something.
went up to celebrate.
I
Just had a good
had
time.
just taken my husband there, like literally the weekend before. And then I take David there and I got the same waiter. And the waiter's looking at me like, girl, this is a different man. And I was like, and they didn't say anything. He just kept looking at me. And we ordered like all the same things because my husband will do that too. But we like will go all out.
Didn't he wait to say something
He
until I
did.
went to the bathroom?
David went to the bathroom. He looked at me. He's like, hey, girl. And I was like, that's my best friend. He goes, oh, he's like, I wasn't sure. I didn't want to say anything. I was like, but good for you. You get tipped extra. You kept it quiet. Oh, it's like, you never know. Could have blew it.
Yeah.
Could have been my lover.
Or your real husband.
Or my real husband. And then the other one.
Wait, what? You brought another man here?
We do this all the time where we think everyone thinks we're married. So we will totally play it up. And it's like,
We've been married 5 years.
we've been married. I go, how many people probably go, that poor woman has no clue her husband's gay.
I know. They're totally invested in it, and then they hear me speak, and they're like, "Whoa,
No,
wait."
it's not even speaking. It's your mannerisms.
Well, yeah, that too.
And we're walking around Pine Top with our matching sweaters. And we're just like, do, with our glass of wine. And we're walking around and everyone's like, oh, you guys are so cute. And we're like, we know.
Newlyweds are just really in love.
And then we will have like this
Wow.
whole,
Yeah.
yes, that's what we had a lady go, oh, are you newlyweds or just newly in love? And we're like, we look at each other with like not even skipping me, like newly in love.
That's cute.
It was funny.
Yeah.
They weren't buying it, but
They were no, she really was. She was very disappointed when we I was like, oh, he's just my best friend. She's like, okay. Okay, so when did you move from Florida? When did you get out of the death trap, by the way?
Yeah, I was 16, I think, 17.
Oh, you were young.
Yeah. My dad actually moved back to Tucson, and that's a whole story in itself. But the gist of it is that I knew I was dying. I knew that I was not going to survive the lifestyle that I was living, and I was also financially not able to, keep up with it. It's really hard to be a drug addict when you're a waitress. And
Well, you're also 16, right?
I was 16,
Yeah.
and I got bit by my drug dealer's dog.
Oh.
And so I couldn't waitress anymore, obviously. And they didn't want me to sue or anything. So that was just a free for all, And so I actually remember making the call to my grandmother who lived on the east coast of Florida, and I was living on the Gulf Coast. And I just, told her that I was not gonna be able to keep doing what I was doing. And that night she drove 8 hours across the state, and they picked me up and took me home, fattened me up, and then I wasn't talking to my dad for a while, and finally we reconnected, and I moved back home, and I fresh after my 18th birthday, I got married. I was a stepmom.
But you're a baby.
And then that lasted 8 years till a couple years after my mother passed, and then I, started to live for me in a different way,
So when your mom passed, did it trigger you at all to go like with your demons, or did you go straight into, I don't want to live this life?
No, I very much have a type of personality where I can turn things off. And that includes, could include people, could include.
You're talking to two of them.
Yeah. Like once I decide for the good or for the worse, I mean, I found yoga in April, and I've just completed like my 120th class. Like I just fell in love and I just do it. But when I quit doing prescription drugs, it's too easy. It's too easy to not be all in and say,
Yeah.
So I just tell doctors that, like I'm allergic or whatever. But I don't have any of that desire either. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Because that's a scary, situation to go through. And for you to be so young and then be like, nope, I'm done. And good thing for your grandma that came
she's
all
a
the way to
saint.
get you.
I know. I love her.
That's amazing. Sometimes you need that. You need that person to come save you.
Yeah. Yeah, I did all my life.
Yeah.
And I'm still grateful for her in that moment. I remember being angry at her growing up because she did that for my dad all the time, saved him from things. And I'm like, gosh, just, let him do it. Let him learn, but here I was too, needing a leg up. So back to that grace, just.
But I think that's where what probably helped you also make that shift was you saw that flaw in your father. And that's something that you were like, okay, I'm being saved, but I can't allow myself to do that or be there.
Yeah. yeah, relying on others is probably something I think we all struggle with. Asking for help, or, taking help, or being humble enough to admit that you need help.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many muscles I've pulled just moving a dresser by myself.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of just waiting.
Why is that? Why do we all have such a hard time asking for help?
Oh, ego, for sure, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it could depend on the situation also. Like, I know, at least in my case growing up, there was always a hidden cost to the help you received with my family, specifically with my mother. It was always thrown in her face. So then for like me and my siblings, we don't like to ask for help because we don't want to feel guilty or somebody throwing that in our face, So we'd much rather do it ourselves than have to deal with somebody saying, well, I helped you, so you owe me, or,
Oh.
So I do think it's situational too. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's not help.
No, it's not.
I did this for you, so you...
Yeah. And at the
cost me
time, it's always
$100.
masked as like, oh, well, we're family, so I'm going to help and do this. And then the moment they don't get something or control something, then it's like, wow, I did this and this and this. So that's what I mean. Like, there was always a hidden cost that, at the time you didn't know was even there. You were just like, oh my God, I'm loved. I'm being, So
Yeah.
I think it's just,
And then you get a bill in the
it
mail.
depends. Yeah. And you're like,
instead of a
whoa, wait,
gift card.
what?
Yeah.
Don't remember that.
Here's your invoice.
But like, one of my childhood friends, his was that, his family was just not the closest. And so for him, he didn't know how to ask for help. For him, it was always, he always just felt alone. And so he always felt the need to do everything alone. So I don't know. I think it is just situational.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
and then
and
there
you
is for
def-
some that
yeah,
is
you-
just ego.
And there are some boundaries that you need to learn, not to enable people.
Yeah.
There's people who will ask and they'll ask again and they'll ask again, but it's for certain. You're like, okay, at what point?
Yeah.
Instead of help, do we just give a resource instead of just giving you a handout? At what point? But with your situation, you were a child and you had this amazing relationship with your grandmother that you could reach out and she came.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Grandma came in clutch.
She did. She came in with clutch.
And she's still around, or
She is.
she is.
Oh,
You guys
that's
still pretty
amazing.
close, or?
We
Is there
talk on the
still-
internet. She's quite funny when I call her. It's a pretty quick conversation. We're a family of few words,
Yeah.
but she can type, man. So she just got back from a cruise too. She's 83.
Oh, wow.
I think. Yeah, she loves cruising around, and
Good for her.
Yeah.
yeah, she's a fun time. She's a good grandma for sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love it. And she's still out in Florida?
No, she actually lives in Camp Verde. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A couple hours
not
north.
too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful out there.
It really is. Yeah, and she's a volunteer at Montezuma Castle.
Oh, how fun.
She loves. Yeah, she'll tell you everything you need to know about the cliff dwellers, and
We pass that all the time, right?
know,
When we're
and I
going
have yet to
Sedona.
go.
Isn't that on
Have
the
you
Yeah.
gone?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think Camp Verde is Sedona's best kept secret.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Oh, now I have to.
There's a lot of
Go.
treasures. You have all the creeks there, and that's where when we went to.
Strawberry?
It's no. What's the creek we went to? I guess that's in Strawberry, but we passed Camp Verde.
Yeah.
Strawberry's great. Did you go to the lavender farm?
Yeah. Oh.
No, I didn't even know there was a lavender farm.
I'm like, wait, what?
I know.
I know, you got to go back.
Oh my
Strawberry is adorable.
I
It is.
love strawberry. They have these pickle martinis. I sound like an alcoholic on this. They do. It's a pickle martini. April Bidwell, I thank you for
She did introduce that.
She
huh?
did. She
Yeah.
introduced me, and I was like, a pickle martini? I'm so in. And so we went there, and we went to the waterfalls and jumped off the waterfalls. Oh,
Fossil Creek.
Fossil Creek.
Yeah, that's what
That's
it's
it.
at.
My sons love going there because my sons are daredevils, so they were jumping with David.
I think I
off
was
the
having
wall.
just as much fun as they
Oh,
were.
they were a
All the
blast.
adults like did their one jump and then just sat there, and I'm like, "Come on, kids! Like, let's keep
Oh,
going.
yeah.
Come on, let's climb up.
I
Let's
did a
go.
couple
Let's jump.
times.
Whee! It's like, let's go back."
You really
It
were.
was like, you were like one of the kids just going up and up. I was like, it's
Up
so
and down.
fun.
So fun. I did it like
Aw.
3 times, and then I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm afraid I'm.
I wasn't getting enough. They were like, it's time to go. I was like, but I'm not ready.
I
One more
know.
jump.
My Kay wants to go so bad, but so now is the lavender farm though at this season? Is this the time for it?
Yeah, prime time.
Really?
hmm
Okay, let's put that
Weekend
on the
trip.
calendar.
There's also a lavender farm in Oracle, if you haven't been.
Is
No?
there?
Yeah,
I didn't know
Oracle
that either.
is quite the town for lavender.
Really? That's on our way to Pine Top. So,
Do it.
oh my gosh, lavender! I'm like obsessed.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. I just did a lavender wreath class there where you make around a grapevine, you weave lavender, and then they serve you lavender lemonade,
Stop.
and you can order a little picnic lunch.
Okay.
That sounds dreamy.
Yeah, I'm so in.
It is.
Yeah.
I need to know all of these things.
Yeah.
And Oracle's not even that far.
It's
No,
not.
not at all.
Then you can go ziplining.
What?
You're an adventurist.
They have that out there too?
Arizona Zipline Adventures. I'm not
that's
getting
how you
paid
met
for
Nicole,
this.
right?
Yeah. Nicole
Okay.
and I met. Nicole teaches yoga in the lavender fields as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I
that
love
sounds
Nicole.
divine.
I met
Yeah.
her at her luncheon, and she's amazing.
She is amazing.
Yeah, I loved her energy. I was like, I've met you before. She's like, I feel the same thing about you. And I'm trying to think of where we met, but it might have just been our souls.
Yeah. Could be.
Yeah, she is a soul connected
Yeah.
person. She's so cool.
Teaches yoga at a lavender farm.
And they're sold out all the time.
I'm gonna have to call her and be like, hey, can you get us in?
Yeah. Yeah.
Please.
Please, you met me once. We're friends. Get me into this lavender farm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a dream.
Yeah, do it.
So you said you did yoga. You've done yoga 120 times.
I don't even. I was keeping count because they have a 100-time qualifier, and I thought they were not counting correctly. So I started. I'm very competitive.
Oh, I love that. Well, you seem so centered.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure if that's the yoga or if that's you.
Oh, I like to think it's just me. No. No, I don't even know what I had a gym membership for forever and I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'm a hiker and I'm not. And then I was like, oh, I have a pool, I'll swim laps. Haven't done that.
No.
And I went to one yoga class and I went to hot yoga my first time and I was dressed not for a hot yoga class. I was wearing like a long sleeve and I didn't know you were supposed to be quiet. And so like we're in eagle pose and Ezra, the instructor, was like, if you're feeling really balanced today, go ahead and wrap your leg around your other leg. And I like turned around and said to the whole class, like, yeah, right. This is foolish. And I look and everyone
kick you out.
is like succeeding very well, you know? And I'm like, okay, I guess this is just me. And then he carries on to, tell us that after this certain amount of balancing poses, we'll take our first water break together. And I'm like, nobody's telling me
Yeah.
when I'm
When I can have water. That's
yeah. But I did. I fell pretty fast in love. And it seems to be that I like instruction
Oh,
and I
okay.
like group classes.
Yeah.
And I've made some friends now. Like we didn't know we were friends until we all realized that we're yogis, I guess.
Yeah.
We're just consistently there all the time. And so I have
that
one.
connection.
Yeah, I have one guy there. I tell my guy, I'm like, my friend at yoga. And finally, like 2 months in, I said, I just want you to know that my name is Brittni. He goes, hey, nice to meet you. I was like, to my family, you're my friend at yoga. And so I just want you to know
I have a name.
we've been talking about you. Yeah.
We're best friends.
Yeah.
But we
If
should
you
know each
didn't
other's
know,
names.
yeah. There's a running joke. I tell him that I am writing a book about yoga because there's so much that really pisses me off too. Like that's not very yoga of me,
Yeah.
Like if someone comes in to class pretty close to when class starts, which I will say late, and wants to be right next to me.
Oh.
Like I actually have a shirt that says "Give me space," and I mean it. I don't want to be in a, first of all, I'm tall, right? I'm almost 6 foot tall. So I don't want to be next to you and I don't want you next to me. I get to class 30 minutes early just so I can have my own
this
spot.
is my spot.
That's it. I'm
I
not
just like to be in the
moving.
back so nobody can see me. That's it. Because I told Nicole, I have no flexibility whatsoever. I can't even touch my toes.
You'll be
been a long
able to.
time.
That's what she said. She goes, let's go to the stretch lab.
Oh yeah, that's her other jam.
She does a stretch lab. And then she said something, this is how much I always remember when people speak. She said, when you wake up, you have to wake up and stretch. And I go, I don't think I've ever done that. Ever what, like,
Supposed to, yeah.
I know.
But no,
I
I'm
don't stretch at
horrible at that.
all.
Yeah, she says like before your feet even touch the floor.
She looks like somebody who though could put her like
You know what she does? She literally rolls. Well, sorry, Nicole. I don't know your actual story, but she like gets out of bed, no shoes. She's a barefoot runner. Like she loves land running, and she'll like blend up whatever dirt and mushroom mix she's got and like put it in a mason jar and just run. And she ran back then to Zipline Adventures to instruct a whole ziplining class, and she did that like a baller too. Like
This is all barefoot?
no, I think she had found shoes by that point. But
She found shoes by that point. Nicole's gonna be like, it's true.
it is.
She's like, I found that I whittled
I think
with the
when-
lavender and grapevines.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. She's resourceful.
I want you to meet her. She's this
sounds
this
fun.
tiny little pixie.
Yeah.
She's just such a cute little thing.
And she's like 10 times her size and personality and energy though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she's never met a stranger. Everyone's a friend, and she has this fearlessness about her, which I really love. Yeah, she's a cool cat.
And you guys connected through
Zipline.
Zipline.
Yeah, I went ziplining twice, and I was just intrigued by her barefootedness. Like,
Yeah.
how did you just run here, and now you're gonna talk to? And then if you've never been to Arizona Zipline Adventures, which I'm not getting paid to promote, there are 5 jumps, I think, or 6 jumps that you can do, and they all have quite the hike to get to them. And like,
Really?
Nicole asked all of us on our way to the first jump. She goes, do you guys want to take the buggy or do you guys want to take the hard hike? And no one said, let's take the hike. No one. And Nicole, now we're off in the desert. Like, yes, she had shoes on, but we hiked our way to the first jump. And yeah, people like her, like in the health and wellness industry, you just got to surround yourself with people like that, because you're not going to get away with taking an elevator with Nicole.
No.
No.
I love that. Like, I love someone who pushes you.
She brought her own lunch.
I know. I saw it. She brought her own lunch to lunch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that, I mean, sometimes for people that's, you got to know what you're eating. You know,
She's
especially.
very like everything looked delicious too. That she's just very health conscious, but like not in a. It's you can just tell she likes to know what she's putting into her body.
Yeah.
Which I mean,
She's good people.
she is good people. I gotta give her a call for this and find out exactly.
Put her on the podcast.
I would love to have her on. I want her to teach a class so you guys can all see.
Dude.
that I have no flexibility whatsoever. What is rolling? What is stretching before your feet hit the ground? Mine's like this. Ugh, yeah.
That's about
like a
all I
yawn.
got. Yeah.
The cool thing about Nicole in yoga, because she also teaches at the studio that I go to, is the way she cues you. You'll find ways. You'll the lack of flexibility, I think, and I'm not a yoga instructor, but I think that's everybody's thing that they say. They're like, oh, there's no way I could do that. I have this former injury, or I have this, I can't stretch, or whatever. And I mean, I can honestly say that I have improvement every time I go,
Yeah.
And so I think you should try. Because I think
No, I would always go to yoga. I've done Shakti classes and yoga classes. I love them. And when I do go, I feel so good.
Yeah.
It's getting back into it. So now that I'm driving 55 minutes to take my kids up to, Oro Valley now, that I'll have all this time. So I'm like, I told her, I'll come to one of your stretch labs or go to a class. Like, that's my goal, is to find between that drop off period from 9 to like 12, find something twice a week to go do something fun that I have not done before, since I'm already up here.
Yeah, and you're not far from her at all at that point.
No, so I would love to do that. But, as we're, approaching the end of this, podcast, I want to know if there's anything that we've talked to kind of about your experience and your overcoming, drug use at a young age, 16, and then your mom, who passed. What of that story has decided to imprint on you the most of your story? Like, what do you feel is the best advice you can give to people that are going through it?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. A good ask. I think that the biggest thing for me has been talking about it. I think like we were saying earlier about asking for help and, situational or shame or ego driven. I think the more that we just open up and communicate, admit our shortcomings or express our successes, you're surrounding yourself with the wrong people if you can't do that effectively. You should be able to tell your best friend that you just made $1 million and them not want a piece of it, right?
Yeah.
Like you were talking about, like just because I'm doing great now, don't come to me with the list of things I owe you, right?
Yeah.
Talking about it has been really helpful for me in my healing, but also just in, like you mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, is once I start word vomiting, people start talking about what impacts them. And kind of to circle back, when I started we had started it as women entrepreneurs, and it was so tacky, like at the end of me having this really motivational luncheon, I used to have 2 speakers and they would just roll the room with tears, and it was awesome. And then at the end, I would allow everyone to stand up and say who they are and what they did. And that tore apart everything that we did. You know what I mean? All the work we did. So I decided to cut that part out, because one time we had a woman and she was like, confessing that her abusive relationship was waiting outside the door, for her once our meeting was over. And then the next person would stand up and be like, "Oh, hi, I saw Mary Kay." And we were like, okay, like, let's hug on this woman, let's love her through this. And so then we took away the networking piece and, turned it into just an empowerment luncheon. And that
beautiful.
Really, thank you. And that opened the arms of the entire group, really. I mean, I think every woman there now either comes from a space of needing to be there.
Yeah.
Or they come from a space of wanting to hug and to heal, So it's been really a pleasure.
It's a very special group.
That
I
is
got to
magical.
experience it.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I love your cards. I love that you have something
Thank
positive,
you.
like mantra on your card.
That was my sweet Rebecca. I love her so much. She helps with all of my stuff, at the women's luncheon and the cards they do. Each of them have I'll show you, David.
Yeah,
after.
I'd love to. Blaire was bragging about them. I'm like, oh my God, I want to see.
I know. I wanted
Inspirational
you to
quote.
go to the lunch, but I don't know, because you're a man, so I don't think you can go.
We won't get into that.
It's so funny, actually. Of almost a year of putting this on, Dominic Ortega has been the only male. If you don't know Dominic, he's pretty amazing, and he came just to photograph. I don't even think he's a photographer, but he has the best camera. It takes the best pictures.
Yeah, he always tags me, and I don't know if he doesn't know who I am, but he tags me in everyone's picture. And I see it, and I'm like, that's not me. But I'm like, okay. I was like, she's very pretty. I would love to be her. I get tagged in all of his pictures. I'm like, that's not me, but I would love for you to take my picture.
I actually moonlight as an insurance agent for Allstate. And
nice.
Dominic has very deep Allstate roots. And so he used to come to our like town halls and quarterly meetings, and he was famous for doing a handstand combo. So next time you see him, ask him if he'll do that for you.
I will. I'll be like, we'll be at like some charity event because he was at the diaper bank taking
course.
pictures last time. I'll be like, do your trick. Do you imagine? Do your magic trick.
He's on the middle of the stage.
Brittni told me you can do it.
We're like, who's Brittni? I get tagged too. No, I'm kidding.
I know it started like I think we met 2 years ago, and he must think I'm somebody that I don't know, because it's like I always get tagged in all of his pictures, and I was like, who's this person tagging me in all these pictures? He takes beautiful photos, so I see him all the time, but I'm like, that's not me. But I'm like, I'll be
I
it.
think I've met him.
You have.
Have I?
Yeah, he's always taking pictures at all of the events. He was at the 100+ Women.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
he
Yes,
takes
yes.
Gorgeous photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's amazing.
Always a suit, always cufflinks, best dressed.
There.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a sweetheart, and he's very talented.
Uh-huh.
He's great. Well, I am so thankful for you to be on here.
Thank you.
And
Oh my God,
are we going to
lovely.
do a lavender yoga class
I'm
together?
down. Yeah. Let's
That would be
go.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Amen.
And I love your luncheon. So
Thank
I'm
you.
so excited to go. And it's you said it's always the second
The
First Monday of
First
every month.
Monday.
And congratulations on
Yeah.
the success of that too. I
Thank
mean, that is
you.
so beautiful. So I
Thank
love
you.
that that's working out.
and I love
appreciate
that you like do that. That's a passion of yours that you've been doing, and
Thanks. It is. I enjoy
especially
it a lot.
healing people. And sometimes you just have to bring people together, and someone just is struggling, and to be around amazing, positive women, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. It's like we were talking about earlier and on past episodes. It's like, as much as we think we're alone, we're not.
Right.
So it's nice. And it's nice to know.
Yeah.
Always have a resource for people to know that there's a community out there for them. So
I think
Thank you for
people, get into that mindset of like you said, with your picking up the card, and that you would sometimes end up picking yours instead of picking somebody else's, trauma or what they've gone through.
Yeah, that you would pick yours.
You'd pick yours. And I think so many of us feel alone, like we're the only ones going through it, or this is can only possibly be me, and why me? And then when you meet other people and you've seen them overcome it and because I'm sure everything you've gone through, you got to learn a lot of forgiveness.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And forgiveness for your parents, forgiveness to yourself. I mean, there's so much you have to do to forgive and let it go, because it can be a lot of shame.
Yeah. I think we're all just trying to figure it out. Our parents too.
Same.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like how you said, you're like, I'm close to my dad now. It's because you realize, like, gosh, they were just trying to figure it out too. And they were chasing their dreams, and then they didn't know how to handle it. I mean, I look at both my parents now and I think, wow, you really tried your best. You did what you could in those circumstances. And as a child, maybe I didn't see what I do now as being a mom.
Yeah.
And I'm always telling my kids, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not perfect. And I love you guys to, death, but I will not ever be perfect. I'll always have flaws. And I just hope that they know, and they look at me as somebody who they can come to and, tell me when I'm wrong, and not me hold it over their heads. Because they're going to have to forgive me for some things too, I'm sure.
Yeah. That's big of you.
Oh, well, I mean, my kids will tell me straight to my face. And then they'll be like, I love you. I'm like, I love you too. So,
Well, that's good because you've created that environment,
yeah, we're all a little too trusting and honest in that family of ours.
I live for it.
Yeah, we're all a bunch of crazies. Well, thank you so much for being
Thank
on.
you.
And I just appreciate you and appreciate what you're doing. And I think it's just beautiful.
Thank you.
And I want to thank VIP Mortgage, the Matt Kaiser team, for allowing us to use their space. They're an amazing lending program, and they're wonderful to work with. So if you're looking to get a loan, reach out to Matt Kaiser at VIP Mortgage. And thank you guys for listening to us and watching us. Blaire it out.
We'll see you next time.